All right, another month, another video. So, soft parts, I think, is what I'm gonna jump into this time. Start out like we do every single time. What you may need: uh, paint. I know you're thinking soft parts with paint, but we'll get to it. Uh, iced tea, unsweetened. Don't get the sweetened stuff. Get the unsweetened, and I'll explain later. Again, paint. Get some paint brushes. Get some cheap ones. Sandpaper. Probably like 220 grit is probably the max you want to go. You're gonna need probably a wash with this as well. Okay, that's about as much as you're gonna need to get the results that you're gonna want to achieve with a soft part. This can be used on your leather pouches. This can be used on your capes, your flight suit, your flak vest, whatever you want to do. You can use these methods or try something yourself to achieve it. You can airbrush too. I've airbrushed my flight suit. I have two brand new pieces of duck cloth. This is exactly what my flak vest is made out of. Yes, my flak vest is green, but it's not in my pictures. It's actually sun bleached, which I used. Just regular old bleach. Get yourself a square bottle too, and that's where the unsweetened tea will come into play. So there's some things you can do if you have, like, we'll just bleach this one up real quick to get it to a light color. We'll let that dry as we're talking. So that'll go to a light color. Some of you have greens. Okay, this is relatively a dark color. So we're gonna need to use lighter colors to complement the darker colors. There's a lot of people that have black suits. It's not bad to have a black suit. It's just hard to show your weathering because people like me who use a light khaki color, I can complement it with black or coffee or tea. That really stands out on our suits. But for black, you need to use actually grays and whites. And I'll show you how to do that. All right, so let's get it. Now, obviously, fabric is not smooth all the time, so we'll crumple this one up to give it that look. Okay, I'm gonna start with paint first. So like I said, this is a dark color. Watching the earlier videos on the armor weathering, look at dry brushing, because that's essentially what you're gonna do with your fabric. You can go straight on with the fabric, but you may not just want to throw that on there right away. See, I dry brush that, you can barely see it. So if you need to highlight cracks or stuff like that, you can. See, boom. I am dirtying up this piece of fabric with just some brown paint. Okay, that shows a dirtied effect. Okay, but if you want to get some realism into it, look at when you get dirty. It's just not one color, right? It's just not brown. Okay, you may need to just mix it up a little bit, throw some white on your palette, and mix the two together. Get a color that kind of complements and hit it too. It'll give it a little bit more realism. Okay, you have the dark underneath the lights, mud mixed in with that. You could even throw a green on this to kind of give it like a grass look too if you wanted to. I forgot which one of my ones is my rinse cup. Okay, so that's paint, right? Paint's pretty easy. You can do a lot with paint. Usually when I do my stuff, I hang it to give it that dripped look, especially when I go for my washes. So I'm going to talk about wash now. So I have a black wash for this, and I just, this one's pretty dried up. But you can get that watered effect if you get, let it go, let it drip, or you can just drip like normal and get some drip marks. So now those guys that are working on oil or working on their ship, that could be an oil splat mark. You can, I would water this down a lot more, and it would be more grayish. This sand one's probably going to do the same thing, where it's actually really, this one's actually pretty much toned down, but you can get the same effect. I just sit here, I drip, I let it run. And that's gonna be more natural if I'm doing that, right? That throws a stain on there. This will be a little bit more, this one will actually lighten up as it dries. You'll notice the khaki one will dry a little bit easier. Well, now I have a black part on my my suit. I can show you guys and gals what it's like to weather a black suit. Let me just get some more black on here. I'll pause the video real quick. I'll dry it so that way I have a black piece, and then we'll go from there. All right, that's all dried up. I think I have I watered down my bleach. Made a really cool pattern though. But we'll get to this. All right, so black. All right, let me couple this up real quick. Okay, so those guys that had the black flight suits, like I said, you're gonna want grays, whites, browns. Can work if it's a light color, but your grays are gonna be your best bet to just hit weathering. So you can see, you can already see that would lighten it up. You can hit it with that. Another thing you can do is like these with this washes, because they're so thin, you can literally just give it a splattered look. You know, that right there can do a lot to something. You can see how much contrast that was just off that little bit of hitting it on the cup. Kind of give it a splattered look. Maybe you hit a puddle, you know, who knows? Play with it, realism, right? Okay, now you're probably asking, oh, where did this tea come into effect? Okay, the tea. I don't have an empty square bottle, but this was my tea square bottle at one point in time. So I get the unsweetened one because if you put this into a square bottle mixed with water, it will not gum up the sprayer. If you get the one that is sweetened, because of the sugar, it'll gum up your nozzle. So like I said, just stay away from it. It's not even worth your time if you're gonna use it in a squirt bottle. So just stay away from it. So stuff's pretty cheap. You can do it a couple of ways. You can do it like this, where you, if I can sprinkle it on, get some water, and you can just dissolve it where it's at. The best thing I've had is I just literally mix them up. Just mix up some tea. And it's just a wash essentially. It's just a natural wash. It's cheap. It's easy. You can paint it on. Like I said, you get a squirt bottle. The nice thing is you really get nice runs with this once you get it to start running. And on those khaki ones, see if I can get it on this other one in a second. You just sit here and thing. You can even pour it straight on there. If you want it to be where you want it to go, just put the water there, so that way it gives it that chance to run down that path you want it to. All right, we'll let that dry for a little bit. I'll go over to this one. Okay, so this one still has bleach. Tried drying it, but it's not taking it. But you can see the bleach is probably just gonna soak it right up. I don't have a khaki piece sitting around the house, but you can tell where the tea is already taking it down. So tea, paint, bleach. Like I said, this is like a cool pattern. Even just, you know, putting it on like a spritz mode, just to give it that. You can do that with a dark color too, like a black. You could do that too. Like I said, I loaded this thing up with some acrylic brown paint, some of this tee, and I just went to town on my flight suit and really got some good grime going on. And then it got to the point where I needed just, you know, a tad more, and I just broke out my airbrush and I just hit it with like a khaki paint, this light sand color, and I just went to town on it, and it really picked up the grime. So like this is all kind of drying up now. See how fast that is. You'll get different patterns from one side to the other just because of the bleach and how it is. I'm gonna dry this up real quick just to show you how it's stained this green. See if I can dry this up and then we can get it to this light color and show you the effect on that too. Okay, I just dried up the tea. You can see this big brown stain right here, and just imagine if this was on like khaki, how prominent that would look on that fabric. But you can tell this is already getting pretty weathered up. And I mean, look at the back side. That looks pretty good. You know, just different methods. You know, just think about, hey, how, you know, how does when you run through a puddle, you know, it's gonna be droplets. So, you know, maybe just throwing, you know, water at yourself, or like dirty, you know, a wash at that object, how it's going to splash against it and give it that more real look. You know, when you tromp through, you know, the mud and, you know, wet grass and stuff, like the effect that it has and how much it sprays. Or when you walk, you know how you step and it's wet, and then you step and all that stuff that comes from the bottom of your shoe just from you walking, it flings it up on the back of you. So just think about, you know, the back of you still needs to get dirty too. The bottoms of your capes, it's going to be dragging if it goes that far down. Even if you're, you know, in the prone position or you get down in a kneel, your cape's going to drape into things. So think about the bottom needs to be more weathered than, you know, maybe say the back, or on your shoulder. Stuff's going to fall more on your shoulder. So think about where you're placing your weathering on your soft parts, because it's going to take it to that next level. Okay, so just think about that. All right, I'm going to throw some of this wash on this piece. This piece dried up a lot faster. I put too much on this side. Apologize for that. But, you know, this is a light area for me to show you how we can put these drips in here and stain it up with this tea. I think I got some Bondo in here too, so that dust will help too. Give it a little bit more of a reddish tinge. All right, so I'm gonna dry this up for you so you can see the effect of how it tanned it up, and then you'll get an idea what it kind of looks like on a lighter color. All right, that's dry. So you can see even on this light color how it made it darker than what it was before. And you can even see the outline of how much I did, and it soaked up in that fabric. So like I said, on those light colors, it'll show up a lot. Another thing you can do coffee too. I've used coffee on a girth belt before. You know, it does work. I've had more success with this unsweetened tea than I have with the coffee. But, you know, just brew a pot. It's pretty cheap. Just go buy, you know, some Maxwell's House or something that's really cheap, or that cheap Walmart brand, and just to add it up, just brew a pot, let it sit till it's cool, and then you can either soak your thing in there, or you can, you know, squirt bottle it, paint it on, airbrush it. You can throw it through your airbrush. It's not going to do anything really to it because it's water. So, like I said, that's pretty much soft parts in a nutshell. That should get you going. Oh, I forgot one thing. All right, so sandpaper. Where did the sandpaper come into play? We'll bring this guy back out. So I know people use a lot of leather pouches. You know, you can even on your suits, if you want to make something look worn, you just give it a good scuff. All right, even like on this crease, if this was a crease in something, it just kind of makes that stick out now. Kind of roughens it up a little bit. On leather, it's really good because it gives that porous. It makes the leather a little bit more porous, and then you can throw a wash into that porousness where you scratched it, and that leather will really soak up that color, and really make it more defined. Believe me, there's way more. There's like leather dyes and stuff you can do. Again, acrylic paint's gonna be your friend when it comes to it. But I mean, just even scuffing up fabric to give it that worn look. You can tell it lightened it up right there. Another good thing with duck cloth, let me cut this real quick just to give you that. So if I'm gonna cut duck cloth to give me, you know, like a tear, maybe in a cape or in your, like the side of your vest, right? Could be. So rips and tears aren't perfect like that. You want it to look frayed, right? So you can sand the edge, pull out that extra, and it gives it that more torn look. Just give it a good quick sand real quick, and you know the sandpaper isn't old, but so you can give your rips and tears a little bit more authenticity, not just I took scissors and I cut out this cool design. You can use the sandpaper to roughen up, you know, put like you've gotten close to ripping your suit without actually ripping it. You can get close and a nice scuff mark. Like I said, sorry I jumped into the sandpaper like right at the end, but yeah, I mean, paint, coffee, bleach, you know, just think of things like that to weather your stuff up. You know, try it on a sample piece first. You know, if you're gonna make your own stuff, buy a little bit extra fabric so you can try it out on that extra piece of fabric, to make sure that when you go to do it on your actual stuff, you know the concept of what you're doing so you can achieve what you want to do. You can shoot from the hip too. That's what I did with mine. I shot from the hip, and it actually turned out really well. And I was surprised. I learned a lot on my first kit to apply to the second one, and my flight suit from the first kit was actually my flight suit for my second. So, you know, just more grime and grit over time will really make your stuff stand out. And again, pay attention to nature, pay attention to when you're walking around, and just look at how stuff gets dirty and apply that to your method, and it'll make it more real. That's what it's trying to achieve, is, you know, something that would actually get dirty like that. So think about that when you're doing it. You know, next month, I think I'm gonna go into attachment. It'll mainly be Velcro and magnets because that's what I know. I have not dealt with snaps, so I don't know. I'll do some research on it. I'm not gonna buy any snaps, but I'll do some research up on the snaps. I'll make sure I get some links so that way I can point you guys in that direction on the forum, so you know where to go for that. But yeah, next month I think we'll just go into attachment. It's pretty easy, simple, it's easy to do, and it gives you more options besides just Velcro, which I like to steer away from because I don't like that noise. So that's what we'll do next month. You know, I still need more ideas. We're like 4 months into this, got 4 videos down, so I'm gonna need, you know, about 7 more help on getting videos of what you guys want to see. If you guys want to see something again, I can do another one to get further in and elaborate to help you with that. But just, you know, shoot me ideas and let me know. All right.